Let's get on to the Central Bank of Kenya, which they announced a hold at 10.50 of the regulator's key lending rate, looking to see the behavior of the country's inflation before any further move in September. But there's more in the monetary policy communique presented by the Governor Kamal Tuje. Let's take an excerpt into that quickly.
With the reform, let me start with Brian Ngugi's point about the weakening shilling and its impact on inflation. Indeed, there is a link. Obviously, when the shilling weakens, then imported items also become expensive. And that does give us a challenge on the inflation front. But having said that, indeed, as we have indicated, inflation now is within our range. It's now at 7.3, despite the depreciation that we have experienced with the shilling. And so, yes, but it does not mean that we cannot address the inflation issue, as we indeed we have, and have now been able to at least bring the inflation rate to within our operating range. I think going forward, we do expect, as I said, the current account is improving. The balance of payments will be in surplus, and I think now also with potentially the pausing of raising of interest rates by the U.S., we should see perhaps less pressure on the shilling. And so we don't really see the weakening of the shilling being a major challenge in terms of us addressing the inflation rate. About the CBK providing details on how individual MPC members voted, that's not an issue we have discussed yet, so I can't give an answer to that. But it will be interesting to see how the other members of the committee feels about this. I know in other central banks that is done, but we don't have a position at the moment. I'm not sure about whether there are members who are sabotaging the process on mobile money interoperability. And so I would hate to go into that question, because I am not aware of those players who may be doing that. This framework, the framework we have now put in place, will help us reduce the volatility of the interbank rates. I think in addition, just to add, the new system, the new DAO CSD, has now provided the banking system with a platform where they can more trade with or lend to one another using securities, and therefore has deepened the interbank market, has reduced segmentation, because now the small banks and the large banks, they can lend to one another as long as they have securities. And so that we should expect now to see a fairly narrow range of the interbank rates. And now with our interest rate corridor and the new window, the new overnight window, well, actually we should be able now to see reduce significantly the volatility in the interbank rate. We should not see the kind of volatility we had in the last few days. As far as I'm aware, the DAO CSD, it's very easy to invest in government securities by hustlers. I think all you need is a bank account, and that's it. And you can access the DAO CSD from your phone, from your computer. It's actually as simple as that. On the issue of the exchange rate, whether flexibility has been allowed as a cushion to external shocks, I mean, definitely the flexibility of the exchange rate helps in terms of providing a cushion against external shocks. We will obviously continue to have a flexible exchange rate system that will reflect the underlying demand and supply. Yes, indeed, having that flexibility, particularly as we target our international reserves, will help us cushion against external shocks.